Hey, welcome back to the Confidad Podcast. Dan Tinquist, your host here. So glad you tuned in once again. Let's get started like we do every single time with our fatherhood mindset. I am the only one who can fulfill the father role I have, so I choose to do it well. I get to show up well for my kids. Imperfection is reality. Ownership is a choice. Today is brand new, so is tomorrow. I'm wholly loved, so I will love wholly. Today, we're diving into part one of the family culture framework. And really, this is the framework that spans the entire year. The way that we can understand how do we make this happen with intention, measure it, move forward, have metrics, similar to how you may schedule or set up your business year or quarters. We can do the same thing within our families. If we have goals in our business, don't you think it'd be helpful to have goals in our family? Because with your business, you understand goals move things forward, and the same thing is true. That's why I asked last episode, what is the thing you want your family to be known for? What do you want to be true about your family culture? What kind of things are you advocating for within your family? What kind of things are you passionate about as a family? And as you move through those, you can understand that we can't just wish and hope that those things become true, because wishing and hoping don't do anything, right? It only happens when we have intention and we have action involved, okay? So as we think about what this looks like, step one is, even if it's, we're already 5 weeks into the year, whatever, ask your family this question. The next meal that you have, ask your kids, what's the one thing you want to do this year? Get as crazy as you want, right? As crazy as you can. And I believe I shared this in a past episode, but basically we did this and it ended up being the reason that we stopped through Pittsburgh, rode our bikes downtown Pittsburgh to a Pirates game, around the Steelers stadium, and then back to the hotel, and brought all 6 bikes. Actually, I think it was 5 bikes in a bike cart up the elevator to the 18th floor at the Embassy Suites where we were staying downtown Pittsburgh. And they said we could keep our bikes behind the front desk because they didn't have anywhere else to store them. And our car was parked in a parking garage and we didn't have a place to lock them all up. Really put the hospitality industry to the test on their hospitality. And they were fantastic. That memory happened only because the beginning of that year, we asked our kids, what's one crazy thing you want to do this year? And our boy, who was 6 at that time, said he wanted to go to a Pittsburgh Steelers football game. We were driving through Pittsburgh in August. Turns out they weren't playing, no preseason stuff in town. So we went to a baseball game instead, rode our bikes around. It was a great memory. But that memory is in our family's memory bank because we chose to ask our kids, what's the craziest thing you could do this year? You can frame it however you want, but the idea is create some goals in your family. And understand, reaching the goal isn't the goal. We didn't reach all the goals that year, right? Not everyone got it. One of our kids wanted to meet an NFL player, and the other one wanted to, I think, go snorkeling in Hawaii or something. Didn't meet those. But we met a few, and we had lots of connection and memories made along the way. So the idea in building these goals is to give us things to shoot for, but also the goal isn't the goal. Connection is the goal. So as you have these goals, then you can start to frame your year based on what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What kind of things do you want to be a part of? What services do you want to provide to other people, whether that's a business or through servanthood and actually going to a soup kitchen and meeting people with greater needs than you have. Understanding that the way that your family culture operates has a lot to do with how your family operates and interacts within the community around you, right? We're not just all these little houses with closed doors, though a lot of times it feels like that. What we can become are families who are almost on mission together with things that we feel passionate about, that we feel matter in this world. And so as you do the time well spent method and you build connection into your family, you're starting to understand what are the things that are true about us that we're passionate about, we can get behind, and we can understand this matters to us and we're going to go make a difference in the world. Okay. So the weekly family meeting is the very beginning, kind of the core thing that flows in and through everything else in the week. It's like it's the one time that your family can be together with intention and talk about what matters. So some people have pushed back and been like, hey, weekly family meeting, why would you call it a meeting? Most adults, like, we get sick of meetings. We don't want any more meetings to be a part of. Totally get it. Call it whatever you want. In our family, I think it becomes kind of this thing where our kids start to understand, ooh, I get to be a part of a meeting. And it feels almost like they're adults in the moment, almost like they're getting called into something really important and really big that they can rise to the occasion for. Weird. Wouldn't that be neat if our kids understood that there's something bigger they can be a part of than just their little life within our family? Okay? So what we do for our weekly family meetings is Sunday night dinners, or, during hockey season, sometimes that's a little bit difficult. And so we create different windows. We're like, okay, we can't do it this Sunday night because you have practice and you have a game. And so we're going to do it here instead. Sometimes it's Sunday brunch. Sometimes it's Saturday brunch. But we try to make it happen at least once a week where we're connecting on things together. And here's what we do. We eat together. We eat as a family. And this is a very important piece of the puzzle, that you're all sharing a table and you're all eating a meal together. Humans have done this since forever, right? It's a very central part. If you look at art, you look at culture, you look at history, all throughout the world, every single culture has some way of gathering around a meal. Sometimes they sit on the floor or on pillows. Sometimes they have a short table and they sit on pillows. Sometimes it's like a big meal like the knights, right, in the castles and all that stuff. But the idea is that we're gathering together face to face, all facing each other, not facing the same direction like we're at a movie theater or at church or in the classroom where everyone's in rows and everyone's facing the same direction. This is the time where we get to turn inward and we face around this table and come together to say, you matter, we matter. This space is almost like sacred. Almost it's set apart from the rest of our lives to say, what we do here matters. Everyone has a say in it. Everyone has something to contribute. Everyone gets heard and known more as we do this. Depending on your age, include your kids in the meal prep. That's amazing. What a great way to help them contribute. One of the 4 culture or family culture builders. And after dinner, before cleanup, which kids can be a part of as well, and should be, we conduct the meeting. So we eat together. We talk about our week. We talk about what are we grateful for. We talk about things that made us happy, sad, angry, scared, worried, lonely, like what things in our lives happened that rose emotion in us. It's a very important part of building bonds and safety with your kids is this emotional vocabulary. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we move on through Module 4 and Module 5. But 3 aspects of this family meeting, which happens kind of with the meal, but then after, we kind of call it to order, say, all right, we're going to have our meeting now. Play, purpose, and plan. Starting with play is really important because it starts to engage them. So when you do it, it engages everyone together and everyone has to stick around to be a part of it. So we do it this way. We do a guess how many are in the jar. It could be candy, it could be objects, it could be whatever you want, but they have a jar. Oftentimes we use candy because our kids like candy. And you have to guess, write down on a piece of paper how many you think are in the jar. Everyone guesses, the closest guess wins, and the winner doesn't have to share because forced sharing is not actual sharing. It's just socialism. Anyway, we don't need to go there, but they could share if they want. And a lot of times we kind of say, hey, remember how great it was when your brother shared with you? Maybe you want to share. I don't know. It's up to you. No, I don't want to. Okay, whatever. But after a while, it becomes like, yeah, we all share and it's great. The winner still gets to take that jar and keep it maybe on a high shelf in their room or in a high shelf in the kitchen where not everyone can reach it. And they have that candy for the week or whatever. So play is the first one. Come up with other things if you want. You can do card games. You can do different questions. You can do like buy a question box, put it on the table and pull it out and say, okay, everyone's going to answer this question. This is part of our play this week. Purpose. Okay. The second P is purpose. Connect on gratitude and grieving. See, we are powerful enough people to be both and people. And we need to teach our kids that it's okay to be grateful and grieve in the same breath. Celebrate what we're grateful for and validate the grieving. So we say this: what's one thing you're grateful for? And what's one thing you're grieving today? A lot of times things have happened at school that week, or maybe on the sports team, or in the activity, or with their friend group, or whatever, on the text thread, where your kid goes, yeah, I'm really grieving this. So it's really hard. And then each other, all the other kids in the family and everyone gets to witness each other celebrating something they're grateful for and something they're suffering through, something they're grieving, something they've lost. And what that begins to do is it creates a safe space where we don't bury our grief, we don't bury our sadness and just show up all shiny and bright and all put together. We actually can be holding both and in this space, celebrating something that's amazing and grieving something. Most recently, our second son, who's a goalie, had a shutout. The same exact weekend that our older son had a heartbreaking loss in his hockey team. And we got to hold that space for both of them. And it was hard and it was kind of tense and it was a little bit awkward. But the beauty was we were able to say to one, we celebrate with you. And to the other, we're grieving with you. That was a really hard loss, wasn't it? Yeah. And so it teaches our kids, they don't have to be either or, smiley or sad. We can have all kinds of complex emotions, hold them all at once, and create a space where it's safe to talk about these things. The last thing that we do, play, purpose, and plan. Talk through our calendar for the week. We talk about what practices do we have, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, different things that are happening on the calendar. And then we say like, hey, what's one thing you're excited to do this week? Or are you not looking forward to? Are you scared about something? And see how we're incorporating emotional language into all of this, which is core, very, very important. We understand that like this becomes a place for your kids to also process their anxiety. Because anxiety is like worrying about the future and maybe it's not going to work out the way they hoped, okay? So we talk about our calendar through the week. Most of the time it isn't very deep. It's just like, oh, we have this and this and this. Okay, everyone good, ready, break. And then we clean up from dinner and we go about our week. We also use this as an opportunity to plan our dinners for the week. We love to have our kids contribute to the food because sometimes it can be a lot. You're living the week-to-week jam and you're like, man, this is crazy to have to plan the meals and blah, blah, blah. So we ask our kids all four of them to come up with a meal, and then they have contributed, they have chosen when it comes time for that meal. They don't have to blame mom and dad that it was bad or they didn't want it. But what it does is it helps you stop living week to week and helps you begin looking forward to say, what happened this last week? What are we looking forward to this week? And it becomes a natural rhythm within your family where they look forward to that family meeting. Next episode, we are going to talk about how to then incorporate a quarterly check-in and goal checking and looking into a yearly goal and understand what does it look like to create this framework, not just in the weekly rhythm, but in the quarterly and the yearly rhythms. So may you be empowered today to try the weekly family meeting. Look at the goals, ask your family what do they want to do, and try it. Just try it. Let me know how it goes in the comments. Would love to hear from you. Hope you feel empowered today to become the dad your kids need. We'll see you in the next episode.